You're lying in bed. Your partner is next to you. The door's closed, the lights are off. You're alone. For 99% of human history, this moment didn't exist. There were no doors, no walls, no bedrooms. Just you, your family, and 20 other people sleeping 5 feet away. Every breath audible, every movement felt, every sound heard. And here's what nobody thinks to ask. How did they live like that? How did ancient humans handle anger, intimacy, grief, shame with an audience of 20 people who never, ever left? The short answer is they didn't have privacy. The long answer is far more interesting and far more uncomfortable. Because what you're about to find out isn't just ancient history. It's a mirror pointed directly at the way you live right now. Humans lived in small groups of 15 to 50 people. You weren't just related to everyone around you. You were physically beside them every hour of every day. Hunter-gatherer camps had no walls, no separate rooms, no private spaces of any kind. You slept in a pile for warmth. You ate from the same fire. You sat so close to other people that you could feel their body heat without touching them. If you were angry, everyone knew. If you were grieving, everyone saw. If you and your partner wanted a moment alone, everyone was aware of that too. Most people, when they hear this, feel an instinctive discomfort. That sounds unbearable, they think. That sounds like a kind of psychological suffocation. But that reaction, that instinct, reveals something important. It reveals how completely modern we are. Because ancient humans didn't experience that closeness as suffocation. They experienced being alone as something far worse. How did individuals find moments of peace? How did anyone process a private emotion in a space where nothing was private? Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer societies, groups whose way of life most closely mirrors our ancient ancestors, found 3 consistent strategies. And they are more sophisticated than you'd expect. The first was timing. Most intimate moments happened at night, deep night, when the fire had burned low and the camp had gone quiet. Darkness created a kind of psychological privacy that physical space couldn't provide. You couldn't be seen, and in the social logic of the camp, what couldn't be seen didn't need to be acknowledged. The second strategy was distance. Not much, never far. Leaving the firelight entirely meant entering the territory of predators. That wasn't privacy, that was a death wish. But 50 feet in darkness is functionally invisible. Couples moved to the edge of the camp's light, just far enough. The distance wasn't measured in meters, it was measured in the social understanding that nobody would follow. The third strategy was the most fascinating of all: collective pretending. Everyone pretended not to notice. Think about the logic of this for a moment. You are in a space with 20 people. Something private is happening 10 feet away from you. You don't look, you don't comment, you don't acknowledge it later. You give the illusion of privacy through deliberate, coordinated ignorance. This wasn't weakness or awkwardness. This was a social technology, a sophisticated, collectively maintained agreement that certain things, though seen, would never be spoken. Ancient humans invented the polite fiction of privacy long before they invented walls. Anthropologist Colin Turnbull spent years living with the Mbuti people of Central Africa, and he noticed something that stopped him. The Mbuti had no word for privacy. Not a limited concept of it, not a different version of it, no word, no concept, no cultural category for the thing that modern humans consider a basic psychological need. And Turnbull's observation was careful. He wasn't saying they were primitive. He was saying their relationship with solitude was fundamentally different from ours. For the Mbuti, and for most of human history, being alone wasn't peaceful. It was dangerous. Separation from the group meant separation from protection, from warmth, from the collective awareness that kept predators at a distance and kept individuals alive through crisis. For 290,000 years, solitude wasn't something you sought. It was something that happened to you when things went wrong. The person sitting alone at the edge of the firelight wasn't meditating. They were in trouble. Anthropologist Colin Turnbull spent years living with the Mbuti people of Central Africa, And he noticed something that stopped him. The Mbuti had no word for privacy. Not a limited concept of it, not a different version of it. No word, no concept, no cultural category for the thing that modern humans consider a basic psychological need. And Turnbull's observation was careful. He wasn't saying they were primitive. He was saying their relationship with solitude was fundamentally different from ours. For the Mbuti, and for most of human history, being alone wasn't peaceful. It was dangerous. Separation from the group meant separation from protection, from warmth, from the collective awareness that kept predators at a distance and kept individuals alive through crisis. For 290,000 years, solitude wasn't something you sought. It was something that happened to you when things went wrong. The person sitting alone at the edge of the firelight wasn't meditating. They were in trouble. Everyone wonders about this, so let's address it directly. Ancient humans didn't have toilets. They didn't have outhouses. They didn't have any designated private space for the most basic biological function. When you needed to go, you walked away from camp, downwind, to a general area that everyone understood was for that purpose. You did what you needed to do, and you came back. Private, by modern standards, no. You were visible, or at minimum, your direction of travel was obvious. But social protocol applied here too. Nobody followed, nobody watched, nobody commented. The same collective pretending that governed intimacy governed everything else. And here's the realization that changes the picture entirely. This isn't actually that different from how modern humans handle public restrooms. There are other people in the room. You can hear them. They can hear you. And everyone, by silent mutual agreement, pretends they cannot. The technology changed. The social mechanism never did. Archaeological evidence from Ohala II in Israel, a site 23,000 years old, shows shelters so small that a family sleeping inside would have been touching each other continuously through the night. Not by choice, by geometry. There was no rolling over without disturbing someone, no position change that wasn't felt by the person beside you. And this wasn't a temporary condition. It persisted for tens of thousands of years after that. Even in medieval Europe, well into what we consider civilization, entire families shared a single room, often a single bed. Parents, children, sometimes grandparents, occasionally livestock on the floor below. The idea of a child having their own bedroom, that didn't become normal until the early 1900s. The private bedroom, the space so fundamental to modern identity that we can barely imagine existing without it, is roughly 100 years old. For 299,900 years before that, you slept next to someone every single night of your life. No human being was ever truly alone. Not when they slept, not when they grieved, not when they were sick or afraid or lost. There was always someone 5 feet away. Always a fire, always a presence, always the sound of someone else breathing in the dark. We called that primitive. We built walls to escape it. We built cities and apartments and private bedrooms and noise-canceling headphones and a whole architecture of solitude. Because we thought that's what we wanted. And now, loneliness is the defining health crisis of the modern world. Doctors are calling it an epidemic. Governments are appointing ministers for it. Studies are showing it shortens life more reliably than smoking. We have more privacy than any humans in history. We can close more doors, silence more noise, disappear more completely from other people than our ancestors could have imagined. And we have never been more alone. Here is the thought that doesn't leave easily. Ancient humans didn't have privacy, but they had something we can't seem to find no matter how many walls we build. They had each other, completely, constantly, inescapably. And maybe that was never the problem. Maybe that was always the point. We spent 300,000 years never being alone. Then we invented walls, and we've been lonely ever since.